Have you ever wondered what it takes to turn a life around? This heartwarming story shows the power of community in helping a homeless veteran find hope and a fresh start. Michael woke to the sound of early morning traffic, his back stiff from another night on a park bench. He stretched, feeling the familiar ache in his joints, and glanced around to make sure his few belongings, a tattered backpack and a worn blanket, were still there. The city was already stirring, but for Michael, each day felt like a repeat of the last, a constant search for food, shelter, and safety. He had been living on the streets for over a year now, ever since life took a series of turns he hadn't seen coming. Once, Michael had a home, a job, and a family. He had served his country as a soldier, but the transition back to civilian life hadn't been easy. Nightmares from his time in service haunted him, and soon the weight of it all became too much. He lost his job, his marriage crumbled, and eventually he found himself with nowhere to go. Now, his days were spent navigating the harsh realities of homelessness, finding a meal, avoiding danger, and trying to hold on to whatever dignity he had left. Each morning, Michael made his way to a public fountain to wash his face and hands, doing his best to look presentable. He knew people judged him by his appearance, but he refused to let that strip away his sense of self. As he walked through the city, he passed by a small coffee shop called Brewed Awakening. He had noticed it before the warm glow of its lights, the laughter spilling out from inside, but he had never dared to enter. It wasn't a place for someone like him, he thought. Still, something about the shop drew him in. Maybe it was the smell of fresh coffee or the way the baristas smiled at customers. Michael often wondered what it would be like to sit inside, to feel like he belonged somewhere. But he pushed those thoughts aside. He had more pressing concerns, like where his next meal would come from. Have you ever stopped to think about the struggles of those less fortunate than you? One bitterly cold morning, Michael found himself shivering uncontrollably. His fingers were numb and his stomach growled with hunger. Desperate for warmth, he decided to take a chance. He pushed open the door to Brewed Awakening, the bell jingling softly as he stepped inside. The warmth hit him immediately, and for a moment he stood there, unsure of what to do next. The shop was bustling with customers, people in suits grabbing their morning lattes, students typing away on laptops. Michael felt out of place, his worn clothes and unkempt hair drawing a few curious glances. He approached the counter, his heart pounding. "Hi there, what can I get for you today?" The barista, a young woman with a bright smile, looked at him without a hint of judgment. Michael hesitated. I'm not sure." "I don't have much money." The barista's smile didn't falter. "That's okay. How about a nice hot cup of coffee? It's on the house." Michael blinked in surprise. "Really? Thank you so much." "That's very kind of you." As he took the steaming cup, he felt something he hadn't in a long time: gratitude, yes, but also a sense of being seen. He found a small table in the corner and sat down, savoring the warmth of the coffee and the simple act of kindness. For the first time in months, he didn't feel invisible. Over the next few days, Michael returned to the coffee shop. Each time, the baristas greeted him warmly, and soon, some of the regulars began to notice him too. A man named Tom, who came in every morning before work, struck up a conversation one day. "So, Michael, what's your story?" Tom asked, genuinely curious. Michael was taken aback. It had been a long time since anyone had asked him that. He shared a little about his past this time in the military, the struggles with PTSD, and how he ended up on the streets. Tom listened intently, nodding with understanding. "You know, Michael, you're not alone in this. There are people who care, even if it doesn't always feel that way. Those words stayed with Michael long after the conversation ended. Maybe, just maybe, there was hope. When was the last time you showed kindness to a stranger? As the weeks passed, Brood Awakening became more than just a place for Michael to get a free cup of coffee. It became a sanctuary. The staff and customers treated him with respect, and slowly, he began to feel like part of the community. One day, the shop's owner, Sarah, approached him with an offer. "Michael, we've been talking, and we'd like to help you get back on your feet. How would you feel about working here part-time? You could help with cleaning tables, restocking supplies, nothing too strenuous. It's not much, but it's a start." Michael's eyes widened. "You do that for me?" Sarah smiled. "Of course. You're part of this place now." For the first time in years, Michael had a sense of purpose. He showed up every day, eager to contribute, and the small paycheck allowed him to buy new clothes and save a little money. But more than that, the coffee shop gave him something invaluable, a sense of belonging. As he worked, he started to open up more, sharing stories with the regulars and even making a few friends. He learned that Tom, the man who had first spoken to him, was a veteran too. They bonded over their shared experiences, and Tom introduced Michael to a local support group for veterans struggling with PTSD. Michael's mental health began to improve. The nightmares didn't go away entirely, but they became less frequent. He started to believe that maybe, just maybe, he could rebuild his life. How often do we overlook the power of small gestures in transforming someone's life? Word of Michael's story spread throughout the community. Customers who had seen him transform from a quiet, withdrawn man into someone with a renewed sense of hope began to share his story with others. Soon, the local news picked up on it, and Brood Awakening became known not just for its coffee, but for its compassion. Inspired by Michael's journey, the coffee shop launched a program called Brewing Hope, where a portion of every sale went towards supporting local homeless shelters and veteran outreach programs. Other businesses in the area followed suit, offering job opportunities and resources to those in need. Michael's story had a ripple effect. People who had never thought twice about the homeless began to see them as individuals with stories, dreams, and dignity. One woman, moved by Michael's resilience, started volunteering at a nearby shelter. Another man, a former soldier himself, reached out to Michael and offered him a place to stay while he saved up for an apartment. It was a reminder that one act of kindness could spark a chain reaction, touching lives far beyond the initial gesture. What small action could you take today to create a ripple of kindness in your community? Michael stood outside his new apartment, keys in hand, a smile spreading across his face. It wasn't much just a small studio, but it was his. After months of hard work and the unwavering support of the coffee shop community, he had finally found a place to call home. As he unpacked his few belongings, he thought about how far he had come. It wasn't just the job or the apartment that had changed his life. It was the kindness of strangers who had seen him not as a problem to be solved, but as a person deserving of dignity and respect. Michael knew his journey wasn't over. There would still be challenges ahead, but now he had something he hadn't had in a long time: hope, and he wanted to pay it forward. He began volunteering at the same shelter where he had once sought refuge, offering support to others who were walking the path he had once tread. His story was a testament to the power of compassion and the difference a community can make when it chooses to uplift its most vulnerable members. How can you extend a hand of kindness to someone in need today? If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to The Kind Story for more inspiring narratives. Together, we can spread kindness and make a difference. Disclaimer: This story is an original work for the Kind Story, created by human writers with AI assistance for formatting or narration. It reflects real-life inspired emotions and adheres to YouTube's community guidelines and monetization policies.